Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Late Night Brew, where we talk to brews first and then we get around to the business second. I am your host, Robert Bucktenica, otherwise known as Buck, and tonight on the show with me, once again, I need to get him a hat or something because he is my most reoccurring guest, Lee Foster, the one and only. Welcome back.
Thank you, Buck and Lee, mate. I'm very pleased to be back. It's always a pleasure chatting with you.
Absolutely. So tonight we're going to be talking about MapOne, how to help guide you to that cloud journey, remove all the fear and uncertainty of what the heck it is and how it all works, especially with Microsoft. There's a lot to that. But first, the important bit. What are you having with me tonight?
Mate, I am coming two-gun Charlie tonight. I have got a nice British cup of tea, but I've also got the big gun, which is a nighttime espresso martini. Comes in a jar, Melbourne martinis. Take it out the fridge, shake it up, put a block of ice in and get a straw. Really good. Really good.
That is brilliant. I love the forward thinking and removing all of the hassle of having a cocktail shaker and everything. I've got it's called the Guavadilla. It's a wheat ale with pineapple and guava, or a blonde ale, apologies.
Wow.
Actually quite good.
Probably too tasty, right? Just keep going.
You know, that's the problem with a lot of beers I drink is they are delicious and you don't quite realize how much of them you're drinking. So, MapOne, what is that? That does not quite give you an idea of what's in the tin.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. Look, MapOne is effectively a product that we use in our advisory space, right? So when we run advisory services for a client, advisory can be seen by many different people in different ways. What we've effectively done is take our advisory approach and, like you say, put it in a tin, give it a name. I'll talk a bit more about the name as we go, but you know, MapOne is where we landed. The critical part of the name, if you take it into two pieces, the map and the one. The map is what we've tried to solve for clients is get them to a point where they can get away from thinking about the what. You know, organizations, as we know, Buck, we talk about it every day, are trying to transform or modernize their business in one way, shape or form. They've started, they're in the way, or they're almost complete. But for the most part, when they look at optimizations, they start with the what. And when they start with what, they end up in like vendor mode or solution mode and end up talking to everybody, and the what becomes much bigger or becomes bigger than Ben-Hur, and that like looks like a mountain to scale, right?
Or it's that they focus on a single thing and everything else is forgotten. That tunnel vision of, oh, we need email in the cloud and
yeah,
everything else.
Exactly, right. And then they'll go speak to, say, Microsoft, and they get a view from Microsoft. Then they go speak to Google and get a view from them, and then all of a sudden they find they're just drowning in features and functions, right? They've gone from we think we know what we want to do to now I've got all this information. I really don't know what to do with what's best, what's not best. You know, do you know what I mean? When you got the people in that position, they're like, well, we get what we want to do, we still haven't understood why we need to do it.
How is the MapOne used, or how does that engagement play out?
Our intent is to work with sort of executive stakeholders, leaders in a business. It works best top down, if that makes sense, rather than technology pushing up. We really want to seek to understand what's going on in the business and get to an understanding of what it is they're trying to do, help them determine the why. So
what's the needs?
Yeah, what's the needs exactly, right? So we work with executives to try and get to a point of, you know, if you envisage a mountain, in the top of the mountain there's a flag, that's success for you. You've achieved what you needed to achieve, yet the journey up that mountain is fraught with danger, right? And all of the challenges that we've set. And one of the biggest, really, starting on any journey is fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right? If you can't move, you know, if you've got so much information and people are telling you there are many ways up the mountain, it's easy to look at it and say, it's too big for me, right? We can't do it. You know, if we make the wrong decision, we go the wrong way, we'll never get to the top. If we go the wrong direction, we'll fall off the side, all that kind of stuff. So the intent of the MapOne engagement is to remove a lot of those concerns, remove a lot of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and get away from features and functions, and really help them plot the way up the mountain, right, which is the map component of the products or the offering. Get a really clear plan on what we need to do, but more importantly, why we need to do it in this way. Why is this the safest way to scale this mountain, or the best way to scale this mountain, not what the pieces are on the way up, right? So that's the map side. So we run the sessions, we gather a lot of information from the client themselves, We use some tools, some pre-workshop planning questionnaires and a discovery tool to collect insights on the environment to give us a source of truth. So there's no ambiguity or there's no assumptions based on what we're being told. We gather some real truths. And that's different from the normal discovery tool that we're not just going to present a dashboard and a report. We leverage insights. And the important bit there, Buck, is it shows the insights in as much as, did you know this? This matters because, and have you considered? And when you take it through a lens like that, quite often we find people that end up in that fear, uncertainty, and doubt position because they didn't know this, right? Or they did, but they didn't know how it mattered and they didn't know what to consider. So when we bring those components to bear, the workshops, the planning, the questionnaires, the discovery tool, and the insights, we have a very clear, proven path to create that map for people to leverage to either go execute themselves or work with us to execute.
Yeah,
so that's kind of the side of it.
Yeah, not just a pretty dashboard, Lee. Just oh yeah, look at these pie graphs.
Exactly.
Did you know 100% of your computers use Windows?
Thank you. No, I didn't know that because I thought we'd settled on Macs.
That would be an incredible insight for a company to discover after the fact. So you've teased out half of the name. So what's the one stand for, and what's the how it's used? What's it for?
Yeah, cool. The one is effectively we deliver what we call an OPSP, which is a strategic plan. So the intent of that is to be able to condense down what we're saying that mountain needs to look like, and what are the components of the journey up the mountain onto a one-page, two-sided document. And the reason that's powerful is when we deliver the advisory outcome, being the presentation and the roadmap and all of the detail, there's a lot of now we've discussed why. There's a lot of the how is in that content, right? So for an executive to walk into an executive briefing or a budget meeting with a CFO or something like that, we want to empower them to be able to walk in with one page that says on the front, a clearly defined and agreed, the mountain is the view, right? That shows them what they're going to do and the pathway up the mountain with all the different pieces. So graphically they can see that's what we're going to do, and here's our flag, and when we get there we're done. And it could be something like a divestiture, right, or a migration or something like that. On the back of the page though, there's just a summary of those components, if you like, the way markers up the mountain. So initial phase 1 is called this, it includes these things, here are the benefits of doing it, and then here's an idea of how long that would take to execute. And if you'd like to know, we can give you an idea of, if we were to do this for you, this is what it would cost, right? That doesn't mean to say you have to ask us, you're not saying you've got to do it with us,
right?
But if there's a price there, you say, in an executive committee, you can say, we've agreed this plan, I have authority to approve this plan. What I need to now work with the executive group on is how we now go fund and do this work. How much of this can we do ourselves? How much do we need our partner for? And how much do we need to leverage from Incentra? So that becomes their live quarterly review document that they walk into to say, how are we going on our strategy? Right, we've executed phase 1, we're now at waymarker 2 on the mountain. We expect this piece to now cost us whatever it might cost and take us roughly this long to do. And heads are like, yep, beautiful, keep going. Rather than going in with business case after business case and having to re-engage each point on the mountain.
Definitely, that's really powerful. I mean, a single sheet of paper that gives you the what, the why, and the how in 2 pages, or 1 page, double-sided.
We're seeing it work really well, but it works for both partner and client, right? Because from a client perspective, they now have what we just discussed, but oftentimes there are partners that don't have a clear strategy with their client, and that means that the client might go to a different partner to get different parts of the mountain journey resolved, which means now the client gets into a position where they're back to that, drowning in features and functions, if you like, from a partner perspective. So I was doing this with this partner, now I'm talking to this partner, now I've got them telling me I need to be doing things differently. So when a partner has that same 1-page strategic plan that's agreed, they're in lockstep with their client, right? So when the client says, Buck, where are we? We said we're going to do phase 2 in and around mid-December. We're coming up to the, start November, if we started the preparation for phase 2, right? So they stay in lockstep with their client, and the client doesn't need to get, you know, confused or bombarded by other partners. So it works for both parties really well.
That does. That is brilliant. And I think that is actually the perfect time because unfortunately, that is our time. I hope everyone enjoyed a delicious drink. And Lee, thank you once again for joining me. If you have any questions or feedback, get in touch. Contact info is there. If you have an idea for your future episode, let me know. And if you don't subscribe, you never know when that idea you suggested will come up. Until next time, take care. Cheers, Lee.
Cheers, my man. Take care. Talk to you again soon.